The Wrestling Perspective Podcast. Here we are for yet another week. I'm Dennis Farrell, alongside the future NWA champion, Eli Drake. What's up, my friend?
Somebody's getting a little ahead of himself here, making predictions like that, but I'll take it.
You know, I'm watching this NWA. I'm a huge fan. Here's an interesting thing I want to talk about this week. I'm watching NWA because of you. I'm becoming a fan. I finally am off punishment from Impact, so I got to go hang out with those guys during their TV tapings.
You were on punishment, huh?
I was. Apparently, when you do a tell-all interview with Killer Cross, the company's not a big fan of that, apparently.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. So, but they were okay with you coming back and hanging out.
Finally. So I was semi welcome back. There's still a few people backstage, not mentioning any names on air at least, that wasn't happy I was there. But I didn't bring the podcast equipment. I hung out as a friend. So
I'm going to assume those were the office types and not the talents.
You know what? I think that you were right, but without saying you're right. How about that?
Okay.
So
I think you just said it, though.
No one's listening. It's just you and I.
That's right.
But it was interesting because it was the first TV taping since apparently Impact bought access or bought into it. I'm not quite sure how that deal goes.
Well, Anthem bought access, but technically, yeah.
It's all the same at this point, right?
Kind of. I mean, well, Anthem's a much larger parent company, but yeah, I suppose you could say that they're semi one and the same, especially because Anthem has put the owl all over Impact.
I see
on the championship belts and everything.
I will say this. It was a different vibe backstage. Did you talk with any of your buddies? Because you're still friends with a few guys back there. Did you happen to, over the TV taping weekend, talk to any of your guys, just kind of say, hey, what's the vibe like? Or, you know, you moved on, they moved on, and you're not quite curious?
No, yeah, I don't really bother with whatever's going on there. I mean, I went to Las Vegas when they were there a month ago or whatever, and I hung out with a bunch of the guys and the girls and whatnot, and we did like a party bus and stuff like that. And I'm great friends with, Eddie and Eddie Edwards and Moose and Sammy and Jake Christ and Rich Swan and like a bunch of those guys. But at the same time, it's like the guy that I talk to the most would be Eddie Edwards and Moose. Via group chat that we have, but like I don't know, I've never been like, hey, how's it going over there? Like, I don't know. If we talk about anything, we just talk about personal stuff between us.
I am a massive Eddie Edwards fan, and the one thing I like about Moose and I don't know Moose outside of his persona in ring. Eddie
is one of the only guys that no matter where we go, he is like a pure baby face that everybody gets behind.
He's such a nice. Eddie is the same guy you see in the ring, outside the ring. He is really salt of the earth. Moose, like I said, I've never had a conversation with. I think if I had to put together a list of guys I'd like to interview, I think Moose would be up there because I'm very curious as to. I love part of being a wrestling fan and part of having kind of this inside access that I do have that most people don't, and I'm lucky is. I like to kind of pick guys' brains as far as how they put together their character. And the one thing Moose does not get enough credit for is his massive wrestling wardrobe that he has put together himself.
Yeah, it's really funny because sometimes we'll watch him put some of that stuff together because the origination of those robes he's been wearing now came from a hotel robe that he essentially just took and he just dressed it up with some boas and whatnot and threw some stuff on it, and we were all calling him out for it and making fun of him because it looked like a bathrobe, but then he actually ended up taking that prototype and getting it like properly made by somebody and got a real cool looking robe that he now wears, and he always got something different with it.
And another thing, if I had the chance to interview Moose, I just wondered at what point in his NFL career did he decide that he wants to get into wrestling? That's always kind of interesting because you talk to guys like who was the guy that did the Pounce? I can't believe I'm blanking. TNA guy.
Are you talking about Pac-Man Jones?
No.
No.
The other
Okay.
NFL guy. Why am I blanking? The Pounce. He did the Pounce.
The Pounce. I don't know the Pounce.
Nah, well, it'll come to me here in a second. But hang on. Monty Brown, Eli. It was Monty Brown who did the Pounce. Now, I've talked with Monty and hanging out with Petey and getting to know Monty through Petey. Monty wants nothing to do with talking about his NFL career. I don't even know how it ended, if it ended that bad. He has a Super Bowl ring. So I wonder if Moose is kind of that same way.
I mean, he talks about it from time to time, but at the same time, it's like you asked when did he think about going to wrestling, and my first reaction was, well, when his other career failed. But I don't know. He probably, I'm imagining it was probably just something like, like comedians always want to be singers, and kind of like cops almost always want to be like military guys. Like you always kind of want to do something different. I feel like a lot of times you see football players and other athletes doing wrestling-esque kind of things. Like Aaron Rodgers would always do the little belt thing. So there's definitely a lot of that influence in there. So I'm sure that there was something where, he had watched it growing up, all that kind of stuff, and it was always a thought in the back of his head, but he always had this football thing on his plate, and it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe once this thing winds down, then maybe I'll go on and I'll check out the wrestling thing.
That's interesting. I like that point of view. Maybe one day I'll get to ask him that. But
he's at a huge advantage because, first of all, aesthetically, here's a tall, muscular dude. I mean, he wasn't always like, he used to be a big, fat son of a bitch. Like he was big and fat. He was a big lineman. Mm-hmm. But if being able to drop some of that weight in a good way and still being a tall guy, a guy who's athletic and can move, has that background, that makes him a shoe-in for wrestling because it's so much easier to pick up wrestling, at least the physical aspects of it, if you already have a great, rich athletic background, where I feel like a lot of that's missing on the indie scene particularly. But he's been able to put it together pretty well.
Let me ask you one other thing. Let's move on, because here in a little bit, you and I will have your girlfriend back on. By the way, everybody seemed to enjoy her appearance on the last podcast. And one of the segments I really enjoyed doing with Petey with his wife was PornStar or wrestler, because let's be honest, your girlfriend said it. She's not a huge wrestling fan. And one of my favorite things is, look, wrestlers' names and PornStar names, it seems to intersect with hard to tell which one is which. So I think it would be fun to sit down and throw out a couple wrestler names, throw out a couple porn star names, and see what she can, figure out who is a porn star, who is a wrestler.
I'm down with it. I have her in the isolation booth right now.
Oh, good. So
we'll throw some. She has no idea what's coming, no idea what the names are going to be. We're good.
One day.
By the way, I feel like I need an engineer over here, because I listened to the show last week and I sounded like I was eating the microphone. So my apologies to anybody out there. Do I sound like I'm on top of the microphone now? I just backed myself off on purpose because I didn't want to be having the thing in the back of my throat.
See, here's where I would say no, because you sounded crisp and clear. It's when you're like
last week.
Well, last week.
Last week sounded, when I listened to it, I sounded awful. You sounded great, I sounded like I was. I sounded like I was broadcasting live from the space station.
Well, you were probably banging on things too. You like to bang on things during the show. It's
I'm
like
a banger.
Do you get bored? Do I bore you?
No, what was happening is I'm in this chair. I have an office chair here that I'm sitting in, and it's kind of squeaky if I lean in it at certain times, certain ways. Although right now, as I'm leaning, it's making no noise whatsoever. So totally killing my my explanation. But I heard it all last week.
Okay. Let's hit on a few things this week that I really...
Although if you hear this...
You're drumming?
I'm sipping a glass of wine right now.
Oh, it doesn't sound like you're sipping it. It sounds like you're beating the hell out of the wine.
Well, I was banging it because I'm a banger.
Is it a red? Is it a blend? Is it an ice wine?
It is a red Cabernet Sauvignon, 2010.
Wow. Out of a box or a bottle?
No box. I don't think I've ever had box wine, actually, now that I think of it.
I don't think I have either, but, you got to always throw out the box wine joke. It seems like it's,
I feel like that's a like a soccer mom thing, like a wine mom, like a wine lady type thing.
So let me start with, and I didn't quite read the whole story, but apparently Seth Rollins was, and I don't want to use the word run in his mouth because everybody defends the promotion they're signed to, but Seth Rollins essentially called AEW the minor leagues.
And why? Why? Okay, let's say AEW is the minor leagues. That's, to me, that's all at your opinion. If they're getting paid major league money, then obviously they're not. But regardless of that, let's say Seth really believes that. If he believes that, then why would you even mention them? Because now all you're doing is elevating them and putting eyes on them.
Same thing with Becky Lynch, where she came out and said she could beat the whole AEW women's division. Now, look, wrestling, you don't really, I guess you kind of earn it in wrestling, but at the same time, you don't go out there and really beat anybody because it's wrestling. So,
yeah, I mean, really, in a sense, it's a popularity contest more than anything. I mean, unless you're actually going to go out there and have a shoot fight. But one thing I do want to touch on between this whole thing, it's really silly that I've seen a lot of people were saying how AEW beat SmackDown last week, but that's a gigantic asterisk because they were preempted by the World Series and moved to Fox Sports 1. That is going to be an enormous drop-off on numbers. So to give that comparison and even count that as a victory is absurd. Congratulations, AEW, fine, whatever, but that's ridiculous.
Plus the nights of the week. I still say you could not compare a Wednesday night versus a Friday night when it comes to wrestling. If you're
maybe, but if you consider a Fox, like Fox compared to TNT, I don't care what night of the week it is, Fox is going to win. That's one of those channels that's just on. People who don't even have cable get it. Like if you have a digital antenna or something, like, you're going to get Fox. It's just going to have more viewership than TNT. Guaranteed. What's not going to have as much viewership as TNT is Fox Sports 1.
See, I disagree with you. When it comes down to wrestling fans...
Well, come over here and let's fight then. Come on.
Who's booking this thing first?
Nobody, me.
Or is it?
That means you lose.
I know. I was going to lose anyways. Let's be honest. It's a popularity contest.
Well, I mean...
It's the wrestling perspective with Eli Drake and that one guy. That's
right.
That's how the show is booked.
That's what we should call it from now on.
Oh, well, back into obscurity for me. So, but back to my argument here is you cannot compare. And I get that, yes, Fox Sports is a bigger channel. But when you consider what is on at that time slot on a Friday night, most wrestling fans on Friday, Saturday, maybe even Sunday's pay-per-view weeks are at wrestling shows. They're not at home watching SmackDown. Maybe they DVR'd it and watched it.
You're talking like real wrestling fans, but I'm talking about the general audience that's watching Raw or SmackDown. I don't even think that they know indie wrestling exists. I didn't know. I didn't know indie wrestling existed until I got in the business. All I knew was Raw. I knew WWF, I knew WCW, and I kind of barely knew ECW existed. And other than that, there was no other wrestling. I had no idea. So I don't think that that's true. I think that there's a small section of that audience that might be at wrestling shows on Friday nights. But I don't think the majority, especially the majority that's watching on like Fox, for instance.
All right,
just my opinion.
Let me play within the playground of your opinion here.
Play on my playground.
What would you venture to guess?
Swing around.
I don't know the right answer here. What would you venture to guess the average age of people who are canceling plans to make sure they're sitting in front of their TV watching WWE on a Friday night are?
Well, first they'd have to have plans in order to cancel them, but
they're wrestling fans, so they don't.
I don't know. See, I'm
17.
I don't know, because even as a teenager, Friday was still kind of like a hot night to like go do stuff, whether it was go hang out at the mall or go to the skating rink or who knows. So yeah, Friday can be a tough night.
No,
although I also remember TGIF being a big deal back in the day. Do you remember that? Steve Urkel and Full House and Step by Step and all that stuff. That was big Friday night viewing.
It was, but that was 20 years ago. essentially. You're talking about now, and maybe 17 to 35 would be the average wrestling fan's age. I'm going to guess. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but after 18 or 19, you have a car. You're out. You're not at home on a Friday night. You're out doing something. So maybe you're DVRing it and watching it later. And I think that's where AEW has an advantage, where Wednesday night, you've got to work or get up early. You have school, so you're more tied to the home base when you're watching TV. That's when we first started doing this podcast. I said it's a death sentence for WWE to have SmackDown on a Friday night. It's just
it really does make more sense to do it on a weeknight, because people, for the most part, are going to be beholden to being home because either they have school or they have work the next day or something like that. So yeah, they're not going to be having a wild night out or anything like that. At the same time, I do believe that the DVRs. The people DVRing the show also does count toward the numbers, I believe. Don't
within 7 days,
but I think it does. So if that's the case and people are still DVRing it, then at the same time, they're still getting the credit for those numbers anyways. So it might not make that big of a difference unless you're only strictly looking at live viewership. I would think that live viewership would suffer as opposed to if they would have stayed at Tuesday. I'm assuming that's a Fox thing and not a WWE thing, because I can't imagine why they would want to switch from Tuesday to Friday.
But I do agree with you. There should be an asterisk, but you shouldn't be able to compare what one show does on one night compared to another night.
Oh, absolutely agree with that, 100%. But also, you shouldn't be able to compare it when they have to move to a completely different channel from the regular Big Four Fox network to Fox Sports 1, which is who even knows what channel that is.
I think people want AEW to beat WWE so bad that they are looking for any loophole whatsoever to claim a victory. Maybe it comes, maybe it doesn't, but I think AEW needs to take a page out of NWA and even Impact, where it's, we're just going to do what we do. Maybe you can throw Ring of Honor in there. I don't know. It just seems like now that they had this mass exodus of talent going to AEW, Ring of Honor has become irrelevant. And it's kind of sad, being a wrestling fan the way I view it. But I think that if AEW kind of takes a page out of, let them do whatever they're doing. Let's not be so much trying to create a wrestling war, because, once again, when we were watching wrestling during the Monday Night Wars, we didn't have DVR. And the only way you could watch it was, I think WCW did a replay later that night. Outside of that, if you videotaped it, that was it. There was no DVR. You didn't get to really go back and watch it. And if you missed something...
Just channel flipping.
Yeah, you missed it. Now, there's DVRs. There's Hulu where you can go back and watch it. There's YouTube for highlights. I don't think that there's a possible way that there could be any sort of wrestling war with as much wrestling that's out there now. I just don't think it's possible.
Well, I've got to imagine there's two different schools of thought here, because I feel like AEW is engaging in this war, quote unquote, to kind of feed off of the publicity from it. At the same time, I do agree that instead of trying to go toe-to-toe or hurt another company or anything like that, why not just make your company the best it possibly can be? Aim for the top. Aim to be the best company you can. If you could be better than that company, fine. But you can do that without targeting them, without calling them out or this, that, whatever. It's completely unnecessary. But again, I think that they're doing it just from a publicity standpoint. But I don't think, the weird thing is everybody keeps talking about how, it's not going to go very well. Vince won't be beat, blah, blah, blah. And I agree with that, except that who knows how much longer he's got. And I would agree that nobody would beat Vince, but I don't know about what's going on underneath that, whoever's coming up behind him. I'm assuming it's Triple H and Stephanie. But I don't know that they're as... what's the word I'm looking for? Let's say business savvy, if you will, as Vince. Because for Vince to go as far down as he did in like 95 to where they were damn near going out of business, and Nitro in like 95, 96 was handing them their ass. and then to completely make a turnaround and realize, hey, we're doing something wrong. We got to turn this thing around and do it the right way, or do it a different way. That's a guy who is a ruthless businessman who will do anything to make it happen. And I just don't know that there's that same attitude at AEW. Not saying there's not. I just don't know that there is.
If Vince passes away, how long does the wrestling industry as a whole stop? Do you think it stops at all to mourn his loss, or does
Nope.
The cog will keep going, of course.
Yep.
But do you think it'll just be kind of an inner promotion thing, or do you think some of the other promotions will stop and recognize it?
I would imagine there's no way in hell, and I think that so many promotions would be incredibly short-sighted to not stop and recognize him, because he is the man who made wrestling global, who made it worldwide, nationwide. Now, a lot of people might have been hurt by that in the process. A lot of people might have been stepped on in the process of that. But you cannot deny that the success and the popularity of wrestling, 100%, is due to him. Now, of course, he had some help, and you could say, WCW kind of pushed him, and ECW might have kind of inspired him in certain ways. But at the end of the day, he's the one who manipulated and executed all the moves that made this thing as big as it is and as big as it's ever been.
Yeah. I 100%, once again, I agree with you. I look back at the Monday Night Wars with a little bit of fondness, and there's always that revisionist history where, the people, it's always said throughout history, you win a war, you get to rewrite history. We rewrite history, and we look at WWE through these rose-colored glasses through those times. But you're right, people don't realize how close WWE was going out of business. But unfortunately,
it was awful in like 1994, 1995, like early 96. It was the shits.
Yeah, people kind of, don't realize also that the way the wrestling economy works, there's no way, even if AEW outdrew Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, WWE would go out of business now. They've created their own economy with merch and the network, everything else they have going on, movies, that they don't need the ratings anymore to survive. I think the ratings are now an archaic thing. You look at the way NWA is doing. The hits you guys are doing on YouTube outdraws most wrestling television promotions.
Sure. Well, I mean, in the case of WWE, I don't think they've ever been less popular domestically ever than they are right now. But they're still making more money than they've ever made ever. But that's because they have a larger global reach. Of course, you got that Saudi money coming in.
Oh.
But that whole thing's kind of strange. But yeah, I mean, they almost don't even need to adhere to, raising the ratings, other than obviously to keep their television deals and whatnot, because you obviously want to please the networks. But at the same time, if your popularity's down but your money's still up, who cares?
The only thing about this Saudi thing that I can get behind and even kind of be interested in is I like a good afternoon event on a Friday. It makes you feel like you're skipping work or something special is going on, like a business day baseball game or something. So,
I'm so out of the loop. When is this happening?
I know last year. I think this year it either happens, today or tomorrow. I don't quite know when, Thursday or Friday, if you're listening to this late. But last year it was a Friday. It happened on a Friday at like noon Eastern was when the event went live. It was a really cool experience to be able to throw it up on my work computer, sit back and watch a live wrestling event in the afternoon without feeling like I'm missing something on a Sunday night or a Friday night.
Was that the first one or the second one?
For who knows at that point.
Man, the checks that the talent are getting just for that show are obscene.
I can only
imagine. I mean, obviously I'm friends with some of the guys there. They were telling me literally the very little amount of stuff that they had to do at that show. They walked in, essentially walked out of their match after a couple minutes, and the check they were handed, holy God, it's what a lot of people make in a year.
I can believe it. But also the backlash from fans or those few wrestling people that pretend to be, in the political scene that try to shame these guys for going over there, which I still don't understand myself.
Oh, I completely understand.
Where do you fall? Can I ask you your political views on that?
I don't think that we should be doing business with them personally, for the fact that obviously I understand it's huge money, and it's probably putting them in a whole different tax bracket or whatever you want to call it. They're in a completely different realm with the money they're getting from there. At the same time, it's a really Saudi is a really interesting place in the sense that look at where did Osama bin Laden come from? Came from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
He was a Saudi prince. And there's a lot of information, there's a lot of evidence to back that Saudi kind of knew what was going to happen leading into different terrorist attacks, whether it was 9/11, whatever else. Almost like they're a shadow, like they're a shadow ally. But at the same time, they're giving us so much money, it's kind of like we look the other way. And then you look at the Khashoggi thing, where it's like, here's an American journalist pretty much just cutting to pieces, but we're getting paid all this money, so we look the other way. It's just really kind of a dirty situation. And then you look at the fact that none of the women could wrestle in the show, not one of them. Some of them actually flew all the way over there expecting to be on the show. Thank God they still got paid, but then ended up having to just fly right back, 12, 14, 15-hour flight, however long that is to get back, to do absolutely nothing because they can't wrestle on the show. I believe, again, I understand business and you want to make that money, and I get that, but at the same time, there's got to be a certain level of ethics, I feel like, a certain level of just... I hate to use the word morals. It just seems so overused, but it just seems dirty.
At some point, this is some people's argument. You got to put people over money. You look at a guy like Sami Zayn that's not even allowed in the country based on who he is or his religious.
And I forgot about that.
I can see some sides of it where if you're a mid-carder, and I don't even mean to use that word as a derogatory term here, but if you're a guy where this payday will either make or break your whole year, will pay off your payment on your house.
It'll definitely change your year, that's for sure.
I can kind of see that. But if you're a top star, and I'm going to use Roman Reigns as an example, but I'm not calling him out by any means necessarily. But if you're Roman Reigns, the face of the company, and a third of your roster can't wrestle because of what gender there are, and one of your other top stars can't go over there because of what religion he is, then do you have a moral responsibility to stand up and use your voice in your face as an example and say, no, I'm not going to take this until everybody is treated equal in this company? And
those are the guys who would need to do it, because any of the guys on the underside can't do it. So it is the guys who are at the top of the card, the legends, the things like that. And obviously, John Cena didn't go to the one. He didn't go to I think it was the first one. I don't know if he went to the one after that either. But I have to assume that that's due to his movie career more than probably personal beliefs. I could be wrong. Maybe I should give him the credit for that. But if more guys would do that, then Vince would have no choice. And again, I understand that they're kind of just soldiers and they're doing what they're told, and you want to do that because you don't want to jeopardize the check you're getting and the career you have, and you kind of just go where you're pointed to. But at the same time, you got to have some level of conscience.
I absolutely. You're right. Those are the guys that do it, and if you don't do it, then you kind of hold some sort of responsibility for not stepping up and speaking, because it goes back to, and this is a horrible example, but one of my pet peeves in wrestling is when some of these older guys need a surgery and they go to crowdfunding, right? And please help Brian Knobs or Sags or whichever one, he needs a hip surgery. He can't afford it. Well, you know what? I remember when Brian Sags was making 4 times, 5 times what I made in a year, and he was out partying and drinking and enjoying life high on the hog. So now, why is it my responsibility now to make sure this guy gets his surgery? Shouldn't he have?
Oh yeah, none of these guys are saving their money. It's crazy. I remember even just being in NXT and going out on the weekend nights and seeing how these guys are just buying rounds. They were buying the whole tab for the night, and I'm like, you guys aren't making that much money, Ric Flair. Like, what are you guys doing? This shit's ridiculous. But on the crowdfund thing, I'm trying to find a legit place that can take me to space, and I'm going to crowdfund. I want everybody to send me as the first wrestler to go to space. I'm going to make it happen.
Wait, first wrestling match in space.
I mean, that might be a little bit much to ask, but we can maybe make it happen. At first, I just want to be the first wrestler to go to space. Once I find something solid, I think it's like $250,000 through SpaceX or something like that. Once I figure it out, I'm going to start a GoFundMe or something like that, and I will get crowdfunded to space.
That's completely different, though, from pay for my surgery, even though I made way more money and probably didn't sign your autograph. And I was a butthole to you in the airport because it was early in the morning. I was out late. But you know what? Now that I need you guys, hey, I'm your best friend. That is my biggest pet peeve.
Absolutely.
Right now.
And what I want is completely frivolous, but we're going to make history together.
Look, maybe if you get a jacket and write everybody's name really small on it, when you go up to space, you could be like, for $10, you can have your name in space on my jacket.
There you go. We're going to brainstorm.
I like where this is going. In a few minutes, by the way, we will have Eli Drake's girlfriend on. We're going to play wrestler, PornStar.
PornStar or wrestler.
No nodding at her either. No tipping her off.
No, I'm hoping she gets it wrong.
You know what would be fun? If one day, I send her through email a bunch of pictures of wrestlers and you don't know it, but she has to describe to you what the wrestler is and you have to guess who it is based off her description.
That's an interesting. Okay, I dig that.
That would be great. He's big and he's dressed like a cop.
Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, we could do that.
I think that would be fun too. But so we'll do that here in just a few more minutes. As I said at the beginning.
Does it count if I start singing the theme song as opposed to say their name?
No, you guys say the name.
If you ever take a trip down to Cobb County, Georgia. See, I would just start singing that.
Oh, man, that was beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
That was brought a tear to my eye. But I watched half of NWA Power. It was been a crazy week for me, so I didn't get to finish it all. So far, so good. A interesting episode. As these shows go on, are you still watching?
What do you mean? Am I still watching?
Are you still watching NWA?
Yeah, actually, strangely, the last few weeks have been the most that I've watched wrestling in a very, very long time. I watch NWA live every time it comes on, and then yesterday I found myself for the first time watching AEW Dark after it came on right after that.
What'd you think of it?
AEW Dark?
Yes.
I actually messaged Peter Avalon, the librarian, that I really liked his promo because I thought it was. I've known Peter for a long time, probably since like 2010. We worked Championship Wrestling in Hollywood for a long time together. And it was the best promo I've ever heard him cut, just as far as the way he delivered it. It just was very convincing. And I haven't seen him cut a promo in a long time. So I was just telling him, like, this is the best I've ever seen you. It was really good. Then it got into the match, and I was just like, this match is such a mishmash where it's two teams that I feel like didn't necessarily go together, like they weren't established teams. So it seemed weird for the match to go on for 15 minutes. I felt like that should have been like a 7 or 8 minute kind of quick in and out, get your stuff in kind of match where it's just kind of like get your stuff over, get your characters over, do some stuff and get out. But it went on like 15 minutes, and I don't know, like I feel like they're doing a little too much of that, and I haven't watched their shows long form yet. I don't have cable. I haven't in a long time. Just don't care to. But I need to go back and see some of the shows. But the one thing I keep hearing is that all their matches are like 15 minutes plus, and I don't think that you need that on TV, especially if you're going to build the pay-per-views, because what do you leave for the pay-per-views then? And especially if you're looking at a show like AEW Dark, they featured, tag team women's match. And that one went on for a long time, and I felt like that might have almost been better served if they had just put that up into 2 singles matches that were shorter instead of having a long-form 15-minute tag team match of girls that aren't affiliated in any way. I don't know. That's personal taste, and to me it just seems like that's how you kind of build things up moving forward. But
I watched the first 2 episodes, then I caught bits and pieces of the rest. To me, I think it's a company that built their identity of being the new kids on the block and look how different we are. And I'm watching it, and I don't hate the product. I enjoy the wrestlers. I enjoy the freshness of it. But I can see them quickly becoming a company without an identity. Because you can only carry that new kid on the block, we're the renegade, watch us do this thing different, for so long before you can actually have to do something different. And they're not, it's wrestling. They're not doing anything different than anybody else has done over the past 40 years of wrestling. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Wrestling is wrestling is wrestling is wrestling.
Well, they're just having a very indie style show, just with a big box look. But all the matches going 12, 15 minutes plus. Crazy, ridiculous spots. There's just, I don't know. It's just like you said. It lacks identity, and it lacks identity between who's booking what, because it seems like certain parts of the show are on a completely different plane than other parts of the show. Like when I see, Cody and Jericho or something, for instance, like that seems like wrestling, like big box, like TV wrestling. And then a lot of the other parts of it seem like indie wrestling, just with that sleek packaging of, WWE television.
I agree. I watch it, and I think there are elements from old school wrestling that they can incorporate right now into their product, which would almost be refreshing. I think they can bring back the year-long storylines and not have to. And it's still early. We're 4 episodes in, so I don't know if they're planning on it or not. But they need to bring back long storylines to keep people coming back, to keep people invested, because you lose so much storytelling momentum when you have to pump out a new storyline every 4 weeks.
Absolutely. Now, but let me ask you this though, and I don't mean to say anything bad about Cody, because actually I've always liked Cody. We've always gotten along together, and actually he's the one guy who reached out to me about the possibility of coming there. At the same time, does it not kind of look like a conflict of interest? And I understand that he's one of the biggest names they have there, but does it not look like a conflict of interest that I believe he's won all of his matches? He's undefeated, I believe. And he's now wrestling for the world title, and he's also an executive vice president. Not saying there's anything wrong there, but I can see how that might make some of the talent on the rest of the show kind of start to look cross-eyed at what's going on. I
agree. I agree 100%. I think if there was somebody that should have started at the bottom or should have started in a alternative storyline not related to a championship, it should have been Cody, because to me, Cody is the face of your company. No matter how hard you push Chris Jericho, when they started this whole thing, all we heard was, Cody joined and took this to the next level. Cody's the NWA champion, and he's taking this to the next level. It was truly built around Cody. I think Cody's journey to the championship should have been longer, and you should have had to make me believe that he had to face adversity, where I didn't really feel that way.
I'd agree with that completely.
So, but going back to what I think AEW can do is take some elements from old school wrestling. Like I said, the year-long storylines. I am still partial to the mini promos when a wrestler's coming out to the ring, and you had the old 90s style WWE promo in the corner from that guy talking about the matchup he's about to go into. I think you can bring something like that a little bit back. Maybe even unplug a little bit. Everything is so digital and high speed and push to the next thing that take a step back. Something like the NWA is doing. I've watched many episodes now. What are we, 3-4 episodes in of Power? And you don't see people jumping the gun. You are in a storyline where I still question what are you doing right now, and you're playing coy with me, and I like that, by the way. Things are not being revealed for what they are quite yet in NWA, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're just doing things kind of the old school way, but again, with a little bit of new school flair, where it's just kind of, you don't need long, big, drawn-out matches to get people over. You get people over with their personalities, and then on top of that, you show a little bit of what they can do in the ring, and then when it's time to build to a pay-per-view or a bigger match or something like that, then you make it bigger. But otherwise, the TV show should serve as just selling your personalities, selling what you do as a character, and just making the people want to see more of you. If we're giving, part of the problem with like a 3-hour Raw, for instance, is that it gives the people too much. The good thing about NWA, it's only 1 hour. Sometimes it's only 45 minutes. And in a lot of ways, people are left wanting more. They're almost feeling like, oh, I didn't get enough of that. I need more. I can't wait till next week. That's what you want. If you're fully satiated and you're fully satisfied after watching the show with not seeing any more, like you got everything you wanted, somebody's doing something wrong. That might sound weird, but that's how you want it to be. You want people to be like, oh my God, you can't leave now. Don't end the show now. I want to know what's going to happen. That's when you're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, you see it every week. You know, main event matches on WWE. I'd almost say almost every week, all those matches should be a pay-per-view match, and it doesn't mean anything when it's at the end of a random Monday Night Raw in the middle of October.
100%. And but aside from that, you're also looking at guys who are wrestling the same guy week after week after week. And I just don't think you need to do that either. Hell, I wrestled Caleb Conley the first week out. Are we going to wrestle again anytime down the road? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But the fact is, we're in a wrestling company. We're in a wrestling league, if you will. And what do people do in that league? They wrestle. Are the Bengals playing the Ravens for any particular? They have a big rivalry, the Bengals and the Ravens. But like, they're not playing each other because they have a rivalry. They're playing each other because that's what the schedule tells them they're going to do. Now, maybe some random Pittsburgh fans might be there to, pester them and try and get under their skin while they're at the game. I don't know. But, like, that's the way it is. Like, it doesn't make sense that the Bengals and the Ravens are going to play every single week, week after week after week after week. Makes no sense. You can still build up to a feud without having to face the same guy in the ring week after week.
All right, I think we need to bring your girlfriend in for this segment now.
Oh, boy. Michelle!
She sounds so excited.
So excited. You could hear her from there?
Yeah, it was like, yes.
Yeah. All right, it's about that time. Are you ready to play Wrestler or Pornstar?
Yeah.
Okay, look how excited.
Wait, what are my allowed cuss words?
What's she allowed to say?
Anything but the F word, I guess.
Yeah, no Fs.
Okay.
Other than that,
shit.
You have at it.
Yeah. Are you a potty mouth? Are you a notorious potty mouth?
He wants to know if you're a potty mouth. Yeah.
Oh, I am 100% a potty mouth. It's really bad. Like, I can't. when we went on vacation with Eli's family it's so hard to turn it off around kids because I just do it all the time. Like my parents, they cuss, my family cusses. It's totally like, it's just normal. I grew up with it, so it's really, really hard to turn it off. That's why I was like ready to be like, F yeah! But, I want to know what I can and can't do.
Well, now we know. We've got parameters down. All right, no tipping her off, Eli. No looks, no winks, no nods, no giggles or laughters.
Wait, say it again. Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing.
I was just telling Eli, no winks, no nods, no giving anything away. My favorite thing to do is play wrestler or porn star because I say...
Okay, he wants me to fail at this.
Oh, well, that's great. Loving relationship, by the way.
All right, everybody, welcome. Here we are, wrestler or porn star. Right now on the show, welcome everybody, Michelle.
Michelle.
Hi. So nice to be here.
All right, the first name, John T. Bone.
Oh, boy. This is going to be so hard.
Wrestler or porn star?
Porn star.
Correct.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Final answer. Dennis, lock her in on porn star.
Correct.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding,
yes.
ding. Next name, Ted DiBiase.
Wrestler.
Ding, ding,
Is that your
ding.
final answer?
Final answer.
Lock her in on wrestler.
That is correct.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, 2 in a row here. She's
Wait,
on
how
a
many?
roll.
How many do I have?
Oh, well, just
Well, you got
until we
2 in
get
a row.
bored.
No, but I mean, how many questions are
Oh,
there?
you're getting ahead of here. Don't worry about it. I'm just going to
Oh my
ask you
gosh.
all of them.
Yeah. Until we get bored with this.
Yeah.
All right, the next one, Badass Billy Gunn.
Wrestler.
That is correct.
Yes. I really had to think about that one. I got like, there's a really solid image of someone like throwing like a double barrel like ha in a porno, but I went with wrestler.
I don't know what a double barrel is. in a
Yeah, you know,
porno.
like ha.
Okay.
All right, the next name, Stuart Canterbury.
Porn star.
Jesus, you're good. You know your porn actors. That's the one thing I'm getting out of this segment.
She watches a lot of porn.
I can tell. Wow. All right.
She's really into male porn actors.
False.
All right. The next name we're going to go with is Val Venus.
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. I'm gonna go. Oh, this one's really hard. I want to say wrestler, but I'm actually gonna go porn star.
Uh-oh. She says porn star. Is that your final answer? Lock her in?
Oh,
No, she got it wrong.
got it wrong.
Got it wrong. How about Ken Shamrock?
Uh-oh. The crowd was just cheering
Yeah, they
for
were.
you.
Oh, Ken Shamrock?
Yep.
Wrestler.
Final answer?
Final answer. Yes.
Good one.
You guys
good
are really
one.
good at this game. I'm not gonna lie. This is in my favor so far.
I think she's, 3-1?
So far, she's only missed one.
Yeah.
The next name, Hardcore Holly.
Ooh.
Uh-oh. That could be hardcore porn.
I know.
That could be hardcore
I'm
wrestling.
totally going wrestler.
You're going to go wrestler? Is that your final answer?
Wrestler's final answer.
You're sure about
yes.
that?
Yeah.
Lock her in on wrestler?
Nice.
I like this game.
Next name, D'Lo Brown.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. Ooh.
Uh-oh.
Why do you gotta say it's wrong? I haven't done anything yet.
I'm calling her out already.
Brown. Ooh. Wrestler.
All right, that's your final answer?
Final answer.
You're sure he's a wrestler?
I mean, no, but yes.
D'Lo Brown could mean that he's into doo-doo porn.
D'Lo Brown is a wrestler.
All right, you're sure about that?
Yep.
Lock her in on wrestler?
Yes.
Oh, she got it. All right. Only missed one so far.
Look at this.
So far.
I'm really impressed with myself. I'm gonna have a piece of Halloween candy after this celebration.
Wow, you've
one
earned
piece.
it.
Or maybe two. I already had a mint Oreo today, so.
All right, next name, Peter North.
Oh, boy.
Peter North?
Peter North.
Peter North. PornStar.
Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Final answer, Peter North. Lock her in on Peter North as being a porn star.
Yeah!
All right.
I'm so amused. My mom would be so proud.
You've made everybody so proud so far. I'm going to get a little harder now. Those were the easy ones.
Oh, these were easy? I mean, I have no idea who these people are. Literally, no recognition of names.
Mark Marrow.
Mark Marrow?
Mark Marrow.
Marrow?
Marrow.
Mark Marrow.
Any really suspenseful music?
Mark Marrow. Mark Marrow. Wrestler.
Wrestler, is that your final answer?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
You know he could be a porn star.
Wrestler.
He's got the face of
I'm
a
going
porn star.
Wrestler.
Wow.
I'm so happy right now.
She's in a roll.
She's a keeper. I mean, she absolutely. I think she's holding
I'm gonna
back.
put this on my resume, actually.
She may be a closet wrestling fan. We all know about her porno escapades.
Yeah, so secretly, I sit just crisscross applesauce with my phone in my lap and the closet door closed, and I just sit there and watch wrestling videos all night long while I'm sleeping.
She'll always come at me with some random wrestling knowledge, and it comes from some guy she works with who talks her ear off about wrestling.
Here we go. Okay. Farouk. Farouk.
Wrestler.
Wow.
You're sure about that?
Yeah, wrestler.
100%.
Yes.
All right.
How about?
I'm stumping you.
You gotta nail her here on something.
This is, I know. How about Will Ryder?
Will Ryder?
Will Ryder.
Wrestler.
Will Ryder, wrestler. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Dennis, lock her in on wrestler.
Negative.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm still happy camper here.
Still in the game here with only two wrong.
Here we go. PJ Sparks. With two X's, by the way.
PJ Sparks. Really think about this one here, okay? Make sure you're...
Okay. PJ Sparks? Wrestler.
She says wrestler. Is that correct? Lock her in on wrestler.
No.
No.
Damn.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Lexington Steel.
Lexington Steel.
It doesn't matter if I'm wrong, but it's if I were a porn star, this would be my porn star name. So I'm going porn star.
Porn star wrestler. She says porn star. Lock her in on porn star.
Yes.
Yes.
Not bad. So far, so good. We'll do a couple more. Let's go with Brian Pillman.
Brian Pillman. Ooh. Porn star or wrestler?
Brian Pillman. I'm gonna go wrestler.
She says wrestler. Are you sure?
Wrestler.
Lock her in on wrestler.
Wrestler. Yeah.
Not bad.
People are gonna be like, get this bitch off here. Like, she's too good.
No, this is fun. Well, a couple more here. How about Sid Vicious?
Sid Vicious?
Sid Vicious. I hear he has a vicious pile driver.
Ooh.
Or a vicious penis.
I feel like they could go in both arenas, though.
That's why this is known as wrestler or porn star.
Wrestler.
She says wrestler. Lock her in on wrestler, Dennis. What do you say?
Ding, ding, ding.
I'm just going to keep making, really weird sound effects.
No, you've earned every weird sound effect you make.
I can't wait to go to work tomorrow and tell all my friends.
That you know the difference between wrestler or porn star?
Yeah, I'm hanging my gold star on the fridge. Everyone's going to be so excited for me. My wrestling buddy Barry is just going to be like, dang.
Is your LinkedIn updated? Because you may need it.
I'm going to need it. Jobs are going to they're going to start rolling in now.
All right. Let's do 4 more.
Okay.
4 more. Here we go.
Yokozuna.
Oh, Yokozuna, wrestler.
Wow, that didn't even take a minute.
Wrestler,
She says wrestler.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I feel like I recognize that name though. That's the one name that I feel like I was like, ooh, I got this.
How about Scott Hall?
Scott Hall?
Scott Hall.
PornStar.
She says PornStar. Is that your final answer?
I say PornStar.
Lock it in, Dennis. PornStar? No, unfortunately not a porn star. He is a wrestler, also known as Razor Ramon.
Sorry.
That's right. All right. How about Kevin Nash?
Kevin Nash?
Kevin Nash,
Ooh.
wrestler or porn star?
PornStar.
She says porn
I say
star.
PornStar.
Porn star, that's your final answer?
Yes, Kevin Nash. PornStar.
Lock it in at porn star.
Oh.
No, I'm sorry. She's
Wah.
on the back 9 here. Not doing so well here on the back 9.
No one ever does well on the back 9. How about, let's go with, I'm trying to think of a good stumper here. How about Sunset Thomas?
Sunset Thomas?
Sunset Thomas.
I want to be Sunset Michelle. It's such an epic name.
You can
Hi,
be.
nice to meet you. My name's Sunset Michelle. Okay, Sunset Thomas.
Wrestler or porn star?
PornStar.
She says porn star. Is that your final answer?
Final answer.
Lock her in on porn star.
That is correct. By the way, I just want everybody to know, Eli has no clue what names I was going to read, but yet he's been 100% on this game with the porn stars. So
I know wrestlers and porn stars. Come on.
I can tell. Like Sunset Thomas, I'm like, I wonder if Eli's going to pull up the right music. You're right on it. Are you a big fan? Do you have Sunset's 3-disc retrospective?
I've got like 3 posters of him. One in my bathroom, one in my bedroom, actually.
It's
Oh,
actually
that's
one
nice.
big poster
Yeah.
that folds down 3 times.
That's right.
Yeah. So
It's one of those ones where you like walk by it. It like changes as you move.
Well, two of those 3 folds are just his penis.
instead of the eyes following you, the penis follows you as you walk by. So, Michelle, I got to say,
Yes.
This has been a blast, and we even threw this out early in the podcast. I don't know if you heard this. The next game we may want to play with you is I send you a bunch of pictures of wrestlers, and
Okay.
you have to describe the wrestler to Eli, and he has to guess who it is.
Ooh, okay, I like that. That is fun, like charades, but I dig that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That might be our next game here in a show or two. But
That gives me an idea for a game. I want to you send her videos of somebody doing their entrance, and then she has to act out the entrance, and I have to guess who it is.
Oh, that's a good one too.
We could do like a video.
Video montage.
What's no, but the accompaniment, a video accompaniment.
that's a YouTube thing right there.
Yeah.
I like these games. This was wonderful. I am so impressed with myself. I'm
impressed.
I'm on cloud 9 right now.
You did a hell of a lot better than P.D. Williams' wife. I am thoroughly impressed, and I'm wondering, you are either a secret porn star fan or a secret wrestling nerd, or both.
Well, like I said, Yokozuna was the only one that I recognized. Other than that, it's literally for me everything.
If I could just be a purist,
it was a guess.
it's Yokozuna.
Oh, Yokozuna.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
Yokozuna.
nah.
But
no, I like the games. I like the games.
by the way, the porn star names, I pulled them off of the Porn Star Hall of Fame.
Oh, I thought you just got
Okay, I was
back
kind of
to the
curious
DVD.
because it sounded like you were just kind of like pulling them off the flat, like, let me just think of this. How about? And I was like, dang, okay, he knows his porn stars too.
Here's Paul Pullington.
There's a bunch of other names that I cannot wait to grill. Although there were some that I, notoriously you have to stay away from. Anyone with the name of like Portia or Madison, I feel like are easy giveaways for porn star names.
That's true.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
There are wrestlers named, well, not Main Street, but there are wrestlers named Portia and Madison.
Is there a Portia Madison?
Ooh. We'd have to really do a deep dive on that one.
So, Eli, while we're talking about wrestlers and porn star, I guess we'll wrap this up. She can stick around for the Blue Chew ad if she wants.
Oh, I'm here. I'm
Yeah?
sticking around.
You can do that.
That's up to her.
Let's wrap this podcast up, and we got to talk about Blue Chew. I tell you, man, being single now, getting out there, experiencing that in my 40s, Tinder. Holy shit, that's a wow.
Get out there.
It's crazy. But Blue Chew, I tell you, there are many nights I'm out and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not a machine. I don't think I could keep going. Pop the Blue Chew, and I'm like the Terminator now, just laying the pipe all around Michigan.
Oh, boy.
I know, right?
Detroit's going to need a RoboCop to take you down.
Well, it's no longer the Motor City. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, is it the? Never mind.
The Penis City, yes.
I was going to say Boner.
Like, yeah, I was just gonna say Boner City. I was like, what? You can't say Boner?
We can say, oddly enough, we can say Boner.
Welcome to Boner City.
Wouldn't it be great if I said no, but we were saying all the other things?
Yeah.
Shit, no, you can't say Boner. Listen, go buy the dick pills. It keeps us on the air. How about that for an ad? But
And they're delicious. You can chew them and require no prescription.
No prescription. You go to BlueChew.com, use the promo code Perspective, and with that promo code, you get your first order for free. Eli's going to personally send it to you. He'll box it up. He'll put it in a discreet wrapper. And he goes above and beyond, by the way.
My hands are sore from all the boxing. I have paper cuts from the paperwork. It's insane, but I do it for you.
The people, the you know what? It will turn you from a common person to like a main eventer in your own bedroom.
I did it for the people.
Yes.
I did it for the Rock.
Great pull, right? By the way, Eli.
Thanks.
So go to Blue Chew, use the promo code Perspective. It's made with the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know it works. It's chewable, so it works faster than just taking a pill and swallowing. There's nothing worse than taking a pill, not knowing what's going to happen, and then nothing happens, and then you walk around all night with a boner, just knocking stuff off your table. It's downright embarrassing.
Wow, that is pretty embarrassing.
See, at least when you chew it, you know it works fast, so there's less
Boner destruction. That's a metal album for sure.
The one-man wrecking crew.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so go do that. Help keep the show on the air. We appreciate every time you go do that. They keep track of the stats, so we know that you guys are out there. They keep coming back. They've committed to us for 2020, so that means there's more wrestling perspective with Eli and myself. So even if you've already done it, go tell your friends to do it. Help them out in the bedroom, because let's be honest, at least 1 out of 10 wrestling nerds are only good in bed. That's it.
Get together with your friends, take the pills, have yourselves a good old-fashioned boner party.
Sword fights.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Star Wars is cool again. Have a lightsaber party or something. I don't know. But either way, use that promo code. Make us happy. This ad has taken a turn for the worst, I fear, Eli.
I think it's fine. I think we did a great job. I think it's the best ad we've ever done.
I think so, too. So, Eli, by the way, congratulations on NWA selling out the pay-per-view.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Let's wrap this up. Got anything to promote?
Yeah, it's my birthday on November 1st. A lot of people, according to Wikipedia, think it's on November 11th, and then I get to have 2 birthdays because people send me birthday wishes 10 days later. But yeah, hell yeah, happy birthday to me! And go check me out at The Eli Drake on Instagram and Twitter. Go buy my T-shirts. I have a delicious new selection that I was wearing last night on NWA Power. And you can get it at ProWrestlingTees.com/Eli Drake. Is there anything else for me? Probably not. There probably might be that I'm missing. I don't know. But at this point, go on. What do you got?
Well, my birthday is November 12th, Eli.
Oh, look at you. So you're a day after my fake birthday that everybody thinks is my birthday.
Listen, I know that you'll never follow me on Twitter. Yeah, I get that. I
think we need to have a special show where live on the pod, I follow you.
Wow. And then unfollow me as soon as we're done?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. You're not gonna keep it there.
What does a co-host have to do to get a happy birthday out of his other co-host on Twitter?
Probably just send me a reminder that it's your birthday because I'll probably forget. But I'll tell you now, happy birthday. Happy early birthday on November 12th.
It does not feel authentic, Eli. It feels forced.
Why not?
It feels like I have to force it. Can you put a reminder in your phone so I almost...
That was more energy that I put into anything all day today.
Especially the Blue Chew ad.
That's right. Yes, exactly.
No, I kid. But listen, Wrestling Perspective, go any place you get your podcast. That's where the Wrestling Perspective is. Make sure you subscribe, rate, leave a comment. Tell your friends. That's the biggest thing. Go on Reddit or whatever site you're on. We're trying to be fun, and you guys are always welcome. You can go to WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. You can click on Contact Us, send us an email. We get a ton of emails. I read some of them whenever I'm not bored, and sometimes we talk about them on the podcast. But be part of the show. Follow us on social media. You got the Eli social media from the website, my social media. You can listen from there. There are links to everywhere. It's just WrestlingPerspectivePodcast.com. And follow me on Twitter at Dennis77Farrell. Eli, I think we're going to call it a night. What do you think?
I think we're going to call it a night. For Dennis Farrell, this is Eli Drake saying thank you for joining us on Wrestler or Porn Star. And thank you for joining us on the Wrestling Podcast. Have a good night, everybody.